Now for my next trick, I'm gonna walk down here to the other barn and get me some little short intake manifold bolts. Oh wait, I probably got some in this box of stuff that he gave me. I bet I do. I bet I do have in all of this. And I bet they're in that little box right up there. Oh, the treasures. The treasures I have here. You know, stuff like this. There's a brand new torque converter in this thing. And a brand new harmonic balancer in that. And there's an old point style distributor here, which is frozen, but that can be worked with. Y'all don't realize it, but if the Russians ever do the nuclear bomb thing, the electronic shock is going to kill all of the electronic devices, and then the only people that'll be driving, it'll be like that movie, that Australian movie where they're all driving their homemade cars. Only people with points and condensers all are going to be able to drive, because all the electronic stuff ain't going to work, and all your newfangled cars ain't going to run. Yeah, that's what the future holds, boys and girls. Watch out for them Russians. You never know when they're going to strike. Okay, so those two bolts give you a little engine how-to-it 101. Those two bolts fit in those two head intake manifold places. And if I get a little chain just long enough to go from here to here and put it right here, then I put my hook in that and I can pick this up with that, and I can transport this motor with that. Pretty much balanced, because I have one on one side of this port and one on the other. So it might not be exactly balanced, but it's going to be pretty darn close. And I think what I'm going to do is put it on a set of rollers down in that barn. And speaking of that barn, I'm going to walk down there in my beach shoes. Not my work boots. I'm walking in my beach shoes. I could be walking on the beach. Got my sleeveless shirts on and my shorts. Yep, this isn't really working. This is not me working. This is just me walking around in my beach clothes. Oh, only sweating a little. Yeah, I'm only sweating a little because I'm not really working. So that's what you got to keep in mind here. It's important. It's a very important thing. So here's my buckets of chain. And one of these buckets of chain is going to have a bunch of little short chain pieces. There's one right there. See that one? Right there. Little short chain pieces that has a length on it big enough for those bolts to pass through. What else we got? This one too. If I need anything more than that. Honey baby wants them light bulbs, so I want to remember to take them back up to the house in a little while. See, I got some Chevy heads right there, and I got some more Chevy heads right there. So I already got some Chevy parts down here. What I'm probably going to do is set that engine on a dolly and then set it right over in a corner. See, there's another bell housing and straight shift flywheel right there. I think that's an 11-inch, but I'm not sure. Let's take this chain. I want to come down here and spray some vinegar on the grass going right in front of the garage there. I might use vinegar on these other things that keep growing. I got things out here that keep popping out of the ground, and yeah, I don't want them to grow. Might be better to put some vinegar on them than to keep cutting them down, because cutting them down is kind of like pruning them. It just pop right back out again. I might do that. Might do that. Oh, the joy. Let's see. Maybe this is good enough. through the chain. Put the chain right there. I'll do the same thing on this side. Maybe that's enough. Lord, lift me up and let me stand by grace on heaven's table and a higher plane I have found. Lord, plant my feet on higher ground. I lifted that up high like that on purpose because I want to look at the crankshaft journals and see if we have a 2-bolt main or a 4-bolt main engine here. So, this is a 2-bolt main engine. If it was a 4-bolt main, it would have 2 bolts here and 2 bolts out here. This could be, well, where it's a 2-bolt main engine, it's probably an earlier engine rather than a later engine. Could be a 327 or something, which would be cool. I don't recognize the heads as being anything. Well, this one has this mark. Not sure what that is. Okay. Just a point of interest, I'd be really curious to pop those heads off, see what the pistons look like, but I'm not going to do that. He told me he thought the crank was good in this. He thought it might have been a running engine at one point when they were, well, I guess they were all running engines at one point, weren't they? But, so, we'll just let this sit here. In fact, probably what I might want to do, well, I'll go ahead and drive it down there and then we'll let it sit while I figure out what to set that on. Oh, the joy. I told you it's going to be the best day ever, didn't I? Didn't I say that? Well, some of you might think, oh shoot, it's not a 4-bolt main, but you know, I ain't necessarily looking for a 4-bolt main engine. Got a few of them already. I like to have those vintage old. I'd love to have a 327. Some people would say, why would you want a 327? Oh, I don't know, it's just a thing. You know, when I was a kid, we had the 283 that came out after the 265, and that was a huge step forward, and then we had the 327, which was, oh, that's really something there, the 327. And then the 350 came out, and it was cool and it was hot. I don't know if you can say that it was cool and hot at the same time, but yes, it was. And then the government stepped in and they reduced the compression ratio on all the engines by law because they thought it would save gas. If those hot rod boys weren't out there driving so fast in them low compression engines, where they scooped out the pistons. And even though Chevrolet had already started putting 4-bolt main engines in there to make the force of the piston and the crankshaft. I gotta say this right, to make the crankshaft so that the force of the piston wouldn't drive the crankshaft one out of the motor, so they made a 4-bolt main. But then when they cut out the compression, they in effect dropped the horsepower on just about everything from, like we were pushing well maybe 370 horse on some of those Super Sport Camaros up in 69. That went right down to like 100, 270 horsepower, 200 horsepower just thrown out the window just like that, all for the sake of gas mileage and economy. Don't even get me started. A lot of you fuss about the government for things that have nothing to do with things that I care about, like old cars. We won't get into that because I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, let's move on. So, even though I got grease on my fingers, I'm still in my beach mode. So, I have up in the other barn a little rolly thing that I can put under that. This lift is gradually seeping down because of the weight of that motor. That's okay. I'll have something under it before you know it. So I'm gonna go get one of them, and I might want a couple pieces of wood to go under it, but let's see what we got to work with. Maybe I won't have to cut a piece. We'll see. Actually, you can stay here while I go get that. Y'all just stay here. Y'all stay here and keep an eye on things. We're gonna carefully lower this onto that. I may want to put a block of wood right over here under this edge. These rollers are pretty strong. I think they tell you how many pounds they're supposed to. Well, here it goes. This one here, 1,000 pounds, according to that sticker. That engine, I'm guessing, weighs under 500 pounds, so that'll work. Now, I'm gonna leave it just like that because I can come pick it back up and take it up through the big garage if I get ready to pop those heads off and stuff. And the only reason I would want to do that is out of curiosity. I also have another engine stand down there in the woods. Now I believe that the back of that other engine stand is on the engine running mount thing that's up in the other garage. But for now, that's a good place for that to sit. Eventually it'll wind up kind of over to the side there, or who knows, depending on what I use. And it may be that, you know, you never know when I might need a part. If that's a 2-bolt main, then that is the same basic block structure as the 283 block. And what else we got here? I believe I could dabble a little bit of something slippery onto those numbers, and I might could take a picture with my phone, which would let me, when I get to the house, run the numbers. I got some numbers back here too, but I might hold off. I might come back to that. One thing at a time. Don't get sidetracked like you do sometimes. So I'll just put the tractor back up yonder because there's nothing else I need to pick up with the tractor. I put it back in its place. By the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about this boom. I have, on more than one occasion, raised this boom up and had it hit the roof on my carport over there. So I have to say to myself, before I start, it's like a form of meditation. Self, don't raise that boom up if you're going to go put this up in there, because you'll bang the roof again, and bang that roof enough times, you're going to do damage that you're not going to want. So I'm talking to myself now. It's like a prayer. Oh Lord, help me not to raise that thing up just because I habitually do so. There are habits that I have come to have that aren't good for my soul, and that's one of them. Thank you, Lord, for helping me to be. Now, see, you could ask yourself, why don't you take the boom off? Well, because this big pile of logs right here, you see this big pile of logs right here? Well, this is not where they're going to live. They're going to live somewhere else. Some of them could live at Bobby's house. Some of them could become his fire pit wood. But they are going to deteriorate, and there are places where I wouldn't mind having them deteriorate. I've got a spot up in there, back over in there, where I could, well, see, I put some logs over in here and I pushed gravel up against it. But I've got another spot back in there, and I could put some of these long ones back in there, because I kind of want to build up the ground a little bit. And as those logs deteriorate, they become dirt, actually, if they sit there long enough. So I wouldn't mind if this little valley of a thing right here was filled in a little. So some of these can stay over in here, but some of these could go over in there, and some of them might wind up there. And you know, I like to use stuff. I mean, sometimes you have to cut things down to get them out of the way, but it's nice if you can also use them so that you're not just cutting down, but you're using them for something productive. That's how I feel. And see, I done got my hands dirty, which I wouldn't have done if I'd have gone to the beach. But I have made progress on work I wanted to do, and I have yet to become overwhelmed. Look at those birds over there. What are they doing? Y'all having sex in the grass over there, you birds? Well, I don't mind. Do birds have sex? Let's not get into that. There might be children watching. Oh, the joy. Whee!